Belle Isle has gone through some major changes the past few years. Part of those are due to the Grand Prix and the state's lease of the park.
But there are some reports out there that more changes could be coming to the island, and there are some people in the community that don't like that idea.
Yeah, Sunday Detroit Free Press column spelled out some ideas, including a hotel, restaurants, and other developments. The article also said the Belle Isle Conservancy has enlisted a firm that worked on New York City's Bryant Park.
That prospect upset some people who think it's not what the park is supposed to be used for. In a column posted online in Deadline Detroit, Lou Malechko wrote, "The last thing Belle Isle needs is a high-end hotel and restaurants for the, quote, elites in our society."
And he goes on to say roads are still flooded, grass unmowed, trash floating in the lagoons, only a handful of picnic tables or benches. Where is the state investment in their newest state park?
All right, a lot to talk about here. Joining us now, Michele Hodges, president of the Belle Isle Conservancy. First of all, Michele, let's sort out the fact and the fiction here. What is truly on the table for Belle Isle and what is just pie in the sky?
Well, we're very appreciative to the Free Press for helping us tell our story. We want to make sure that the community is left with an accurate representation of where we're at. We're involved in a planning process which is going to give us the luxury of identifying priorities for the island. And certainly that is not, the focus of that process is not on commercial development. We in fact see a more rational solution as putting that investment on the Jefferson Corridor side of the river there. So we would see more appropriate investment in the park being on the amenity level that would really enhance the park user's experience. So things like small-scale food offerings, the opportunity to rent cabanas and beach fun, to be able to go kayaking, canoeing, those are the things that are more appropriate for the island. And the larger, heavier investment, more commercial in its orientation, residential and the like, would be a more appropriate off-island, but near to.
Why do you not like the idea of a hotel or some of these big things on the island? What is it about it you don't like?
Well, again, the Conservancy's mission is to be the voice of and an ardent advocate for the park user. And so every time we're faced with a decision or we have to order some priorities, the grounding thought is what will protect the park user's interest and what will enhance that park user's experience. We would be concerned that a hotel would be contrary to that. It's not off the table. When you're in a planning process, I think it's important to keep everything on the table in the beginning stages of those discussions. However, I believe a likely scenario would not, when we get to the end result, would not include that. And again, it would be more appropriate in the private sector where it could be a tax-paying contributor to our tax base.
You know, Michele, I know other major cities, I'm thinking of San Diego, for instance, has a waterfront that is largely developed by private business, but they are required when they develop whatever their development is, hotels and the such, to include public space with it. So therefore, they're kind of pulling the freight when it comes to fixing all this stuff up. And when money's an issue, why not? Why not turn to the private industry to come up with that money for you?
Well, there is a place for wise and responsible economic development, no question about it. It just has to be done in a very responsible way. And certainly heavy commercial development would compromise what we believe is important to a public space. And we also believe we're stewards of that public space. And it's important that the community trusts that it is in good hands with the Conservancy being that voice and working in tandem with our DNR teammates.
Let's talk a little bit about the DNR. Any plan that comes up, does the DNR have any say over it? Do they need to approve it? What is the process like there?
Oh yes, absolutely. The DNR actually is the authority in tandem with the city as the owner of the park. The Conservancy is purely an influencer at this point and certainly a partner as well, because we would be actively involved in any fundraising expectations, and certainly the planning process is something we're leading in tandem with them. And we also believe very strongly in the importance of community engagement. And until we're really effective at that and bringing the community in to help us determine what should be in their park, then we would not have done our job.
Now, what about that column we just quoted in Deadline Detroit that talked about the last thing they need is the high-end hotel and the elites and this and all that? Also talking about how there's a lot of work to be done on the island and the DNR is not pulling its weight right now. It's still a mess.
Well, and we're really concerned about the community engagement side. I believe that's when we're going to take flight, and that Belle Isle presents an opportunity for the community to work together and to build the trust and respect that is necessary for a very highly functioning community. It is so important that every Detroiter feel welcome at that park, and we know we've lost an important segment, and we're very passionately committed to bringing that segment of Detroiters back to the island because it is theirs, and we're a repository of historic and cultural cultural tradition. And if this next generation can't also be beholden of that, then again, we have not done our job. In terms of the DNR, we've seen them thus far as great teammates. They're working very hard. They share our passion for Belle Isle. They've made tremendous improvement to the island. I'm surprised to hear about the trash issues and that, and certainly we'll take those back. And I'm expecting they'll be surprised too. So we'll need to be sure to be on top of that. And we appreciate having the opportunity to talk with the community so they can alert us to those sorts of issues and we can get on top of them, because that's certainly not an acceptable standard.
Michele Hodges, we thank you so much, and we invite everyone to come down to Belle Isle for the Grand Prix, already taking place next weekend. So thanks so much, Michele.
It is summer's playground.
It
right?
is.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
If only summer would stick around. What a difference a day makes. Yesterday it was summer. Today it feels like November. Tomorrow